Welcome everyone to this video presentation. My name is Dr. Tuhina Manna. I teach mathematics at St. Xavier's College, Kolkata. It's in India. Now the paper that I'm presenting here is strong lensing of a regular black hole with an electrodynamic source. This study is based on the phenomena of gravitational lensing. It's a classical test of general relativity. What happens is that suppose we are having a light source at a distance, say a distant light source, like it can be a star or a galaxy or more perfectly a quasar. They are excellent light sources to study gravitational lensing because of their high luminosity. Suppose light is coming from a quasar at a very long distance and it is reaching the earth, but while it is coming, approaching the earth, somewhere there is a galaxy cluster. It can happen, it travels long distances. There may be a galaxy cluster or a wormhole or a black hole near which the light gets deflected because of the immense gravity of the massive body. Now this is assured by general theory of relativity that even light will get bended by gravity, and when light is bended, it does not travel in its original path, of course. So to an observer on Earth, the light will appear to come from a apparent position. So what will happen is the observer will see the quasar at a position which is not the original position of the actual position, the real position of the quasar. So this is gravitational lensing. Because it's called lensing because it's the same thing that happened when a lens is there. Light gets deflected because of the lens and reaches the observer, and we see an apparent position which is different from the real position of the object, right? So here also the whole thing is happening, but instead of a lens, it is the gravity of the immense huge object like a black hole or wormhole. Now this is one of the applications of general relativity because it helps us to observe certain phenomena, and hence it acts as a proof of general theory of relativity. Now in this paper we will study a regular black hole with an electrodynamic source, and we will compare our result with the Schwarzschild black hole and the Reasoner-Nordstrom black hole. And we have also done image analysis of our study. Now let's move on. Okay, so we have considered a spherically symmetric regular black hole spacetime. That is the metric 0.1 that we have considered. It is based on a paper of 2014 by Ballot et al. And the FR function is given by 0.2. You can see that Q is the electric charge. Now this metric, this black hole metric, has got event horizons. These are the two locations of the event horizons. These are actually the real roots of FR equal to 0. We are getting two event horizons. W is the Lambert W function. It's a complicated kind of an expression actually. Now, okay, so that is FR. Now we will do the technique as you can see here. We have taken a line metric. This is the standard line metric for doing the gravitational lensing part. Now obviously we can compare the previous regular black hole metric with this one, and we can get the metric coefficients A, B and C in that form, 1.2, 1.3, 1.4. Now the first thing that we have to do is we have to find the location of the photon sphere. Now the photon sphere can be thought of as a radial distance. It's larger than the event horizon, of course, at which when the light approaches the black hole, the light gets the light loops around the black hole. The angle of deflection is infinite. It is taken in this way because the light can be looping around the black hole if it approaches at this distance. Okay. So it is obviously very near the black hole, but it is farther away from the event horizon. Now beyond the photon sphere, light gets deflected at an angle. We have taken the angle as alpha, you'll see afterwards. but at the photon sphere, the light gets looped around the black hole continuously. Okay. Now, if it is approaching at an distance which is lesser than the photon sphere, then obviously it will get sucked inside the black hole. Okay, now that is 1.5 is the expression by which we will calculate the xm, which is the photon sphere distance. This equation, we have to find the roots of this equation, and we will be getting that as the position of the photon sphere. Now in this paper we have found it graphically because it was not possible to solve this equation analytically. However, we have found good results. Now I'll go to the angle of deflection. Now null geodesics, from the null geodesics we have got expression number 1.7, where that ix0 is given by 1.8. You can see that it's an integration. Now actually when we have flat space-time, the null geodesic is a straight line, but since this is not a flat space-time, it is asymptotically flat but not a flat space-time, so obviously the null geodesic is given this way, and the null geodesic is given by the matrix, and we have got to find this expression. Now the technique is we have to take a transformation of this sort, where y we have taken as ax, the first metric coefficient, and then we take z as y minus y0 divided by 1 minus y0. This is this expression that you can see, it's coming like this. Now what will happen is we will convert all the ax, bx, cx, the three metric coefficients, in terms of the variable x to the variable z. Okay, like here it is, this x, now this x is, you have to find here, see this is z is equal to a function of x actually. Now from here we are trying to find x in terms of z. So 1.9 you have to twist it in such a way that we have got this expression x in terms of z. You can see this w is actually a function of z. 1.10, it's very complicated Lambert W function, as I've already stated. So what we have done is, when we convert x to z, now we can put this, substituting this, we can get all the metric coefficients in terms of z. After that, the integration, we are solving ix0 at the point x0. x0 is the distance of closest approach. That means the distance between the black hole and the ray of light. Okay, so this integration is split up into two parts, idx0 and irx0. idx0 is the divergent part, while irx0 is the regular part. The divergent is divergent because actually I have avoided the calculations, but once you do solve the integration, we find that it is divergent at z equal to 0. Okay, so this is divergent portion. We have taken Taylor series expansion and got rid of the divergent. A bit of approximation is also taken, and finally after a long calculations we have got idx0 in this form, 1.16, where the expressions of a, b, d and qm are given in 1.17, as you can see. Now this idx0 is the more harder portion to calculate actually. irx0 is the regular portion, it has got no singularity. We have solved it, but we can't solve it analytically, so we have solved it numerically. It was becoming very complicated, so we have solved it numerically and obtained the value. So the total angle of deflection is given by this 1.20. Okay, now IR, as I said already, it is found numerically, and I've just got some expressions, just renamed a bit of the expressions and then put it in 1.20. Ultimately that is the angle of deflection that we have got. Now I would like to once again remind that xm is the photon sphere, while x0 was the distance of closest approach. Now this is the final expression of 1.20, that's the answer. Now here we have done the graph of alpha x0 Now, as you can see, when we are comparing our black hole, the regular black hole in this study, with a Schwarzschild black hole and a Reasoner-Nordstrom black hole, you can see that all three are becoming quite similar, having similar angle of deflection at this point. This is actually corresponding to a particular value, which will be like 5 point something. Around this point, all three are having more or less the same angle of deflection, which is like infinite. So this is actually the xm point. Xm is the photon sphere point. Okay, this is near about the photon sphere when the angle of deflection, as I wrote in the beginning, the angle of deflection is infinite. After that, for some time at least, the angle of deflection is remaining similar for all three, but then as the distance of closest approach goes beyond the photon sphere, as it like moves away from the photon sphere, this side we're moving away from the photon sphere, because this is the point of the photon sphere. This point of the photon sphere is near about 5, where the angle of the vertically is going on, it's infinite, the angle of deflection is infinite actually. So as you move further away from the photon sphere xm point along the x-axis, so as x-axis is the distance of closest approach, as distance of closest approach increases, you can see all three are having three different branches, you can think of it, and so the values of the angle of deflection are different from the different three type of black holes, and also they are negative. One important thing is the angle of deflection that we have obtained far away from the photon sphere, that is negative. This is the angle of deflection when we try to find it as a function of theta. Theta is the angular separation of the image from the lens. Okay, so in terms of angular separation, when we try to plot it, these two branches we are getting, these two continuous curves on both the sides of the y-axis are actually representing the image positions on both sides of the reference axis. Okay, so this is the curve that we have got in terms of angular separation. Now we come to the image analysis part of the paper. So beta is the angular separation between the tangent to the null geodesic at true source position and the reference axis. You can see this is the reference axis, the dashed line. Okay, so between the source and the reference axis, beta is there. The tangent, obviously all these straight lines are not the real lines, but the tangents to the actual how should I say, the geodesics, actual geodesics. So these are the tangent to the geodesics, actually the straight lines, because we are in curved space time. And alpha is, as I was saying, alpha is the angle of deflection. Now theta is the angular separation between the tangent to the null geodesic at the observer position and the reference axis. Okay, observer and the reference axis theta, and beta is for the source and the reference axis. So these are the angles, and from the lens equation, we have got 2.1. This is the lens equation. From the lens equation, if we just take sine theta equal to u by dol, in the figure it's dl, actually dol is actually the distance between the observer and the lens. In the figure it is dl, it is marked as dl, but in the calculations it's dol. Okay, so if you please excuse that. So u is the impact parameter, and we have got sine theta as u by dol, which is simple trigonometry actually. So now if you now define a reduced Einstein deflection angle as sine inverse of this angle, you can find from the lens equation 2.1 that alpha hat is becoming actually theta minus beta. Okay, so this is the alpha hat. Now where it will be useful, we will be trying to find the position of the images and also the position of the tangential critical curves, that is the Einstein rings. Okay, we will try to find the position of that, the magnification of the image, the TCC positions and the RCC positions. These we will try to find out by, you have got these expressions mu, mu t, mu r, it's given from these expressions, and this is the graph that we have here. We have plotted alpha hat, the reduced Einstein angle, and theta minus beta. Now this continuous curve that you are seeing on both sides of the reference axis, once again the y-axis is the reference axis position, both sides of the y-axis means both sides of the reference axis. Okay, so if I just go back, and yes, here you can see in one side of the reference axis. Now imagine all the angles in below the reference axis, so there also light will be coming from here below the reference axis. So for that, it is, say, the negative side of the y-axis, imagine it that way. So the two continuous curves are given, these two continuous curves, these are alpha hat, and theta minus beta is the dashed straight line, the dashed straight line, and the dotted straight line in the middle is beta equal to 0. Okay, so these three things are there, beta is there, theta minus beta is there, and alpha hat is there. Now the point of intersection of beta with alpha hat, as you can see, the middle one with alpha hat, it is intersecting at 2 points. So these 2 points are actually two concentric Einstein rings that we have got. These are the locations. Those theta will give us the locations of the two concentric Einstein rings. And for the theta minus beta, that line, if we see the point of intersection with the continuous curves, those points of intersection will give us the image position. So again, we are having two image positions on both sides of the reference axis. So there are two images on either side of the reference axis. The one closer to the reference axis, we call it inner image, and the one farther away from the reference axis, that is the outer image. Now this is the total magnification curve that we have got. You can see this is the point of singularity here and here, 2 points of singularity. And this is the tangential magnification and radial magnification. Together it's being plotted. Again, the points of singularities are the locations of the tangential TCC and the RCC. Okay. So without extending the lecture further, I'll just conclude that here we have found the angle of deflection and compared it with the Schwarzschild and the Reasoner-Nordström black hole, and you can see that for x0, as x0 was becoming more and more bigger than xm, the photon sphere, x0 is the distance of closest approach as it approached of the black hole, and as it is increasing from the photon sphere, we are getting a negative angle of deflection. Closer to the photon sphere, we were getting positive angle of deflection. Now this negativity can be explained by taking in this way, that there are two concentric shells around the photon sphere. The inner shell contains denser medium, while the outer shell can contain a more rarer medium. So what is happening is, as the light is traveling from a rarer to denser medium near the photon sphere, there is a positive deflection. Also, there's a gravity, the effect of gravity, so there's a positive deflection. But farther away from the photon sphere, it is getting repulsed in some way as it is traveling from a denser to a rarer medium. Now, obviously, this is a new kind of an approach, so it requires further study, of course, and I just hope that this presentation encourages others to study in this field. So thank you so much for giving me this opportunity, and thank you.